When is the last time anybody really paid attention to the face of a general on horseback in a car? Who cares? I mean, monuments that I thought were absolutely fabulous when I was younger, I really question what I ever saw in them. They're awfully lot of pollution, and wouldn't most people really rather have a Burger King on that spot anyway? I mean, the world is nuts. And I'm making a lot of art historical references, sort of for my own games. But, I enjoy it if everybody sees it fine, and if they don't, that's okay too. That certainly is not primary importance. Well, I'm not sure the idea of anti-decline is that well developed in my mind. Certainly art as clutter is a very big deal to me. I mean, I recycle everywhere I can. I don't like using plastic utensils unless I can rewash them 100 times and feel justified in having wasted or whatever. But then I'm physically making all of this stuff. And every artist I know is, and we're pouring out vast quantities of things. And I sometimes wonder if I'm improving the culture we live in, or if I'm adding to the clutter. And I'm thinking of the mountains of abandoned computers out there all over the place, making trash mountains of technological things, and we haven't figured out what to do with the old trash mountains. And you look around and see badly deteriorated public art that nobody has cared for or loved, and the physical man-hours that went into these things, and you wanted so much more for them, and you wanted, our public art to be so incredible, and it isn't. Unfortunately, I'm as guilty as a lot of other artists, and earlier pieces that I've made being put in places that I'm a little ashamed of in terms of how they're kept, or what's behind them, or, whatever, having no control once it leaves the artist's studio. And I just sort of started thinking that, we're tripping over stuff. And maybe it's interesting in itself. I don't know. Again, when I went to school, there was a tremendous emphasis on it wasn't good unless it was enormous. If you couldn't pick it up with a forklift, who was interested in this thing? And yet I do have a certain nostalgia for the idea of a precious object. We are in an ephemeral, throwaway kind of a world, and I still like the idea that there's something out there to treasure. Now, I'm not talking about Fabergé eggs, which don't interest me at all. I like the fact that originally I thought this thing was going to be put on the floor, and people said, somebody might bump into it and kick it. And I said, well, okay, if they do, they'll scratch the patina. So what? It's bronze, but it's not really precious. And that's one of the reasons I like the fact that it was bronze. Had I made it in the same plastic compound that I was making these little wall pieces, if you tripped over one, you'd break it. Whereas this stuff's more durable. Now, you probably could trash it if you threw it over the side of the building or something, but bronze historically has this reputation of being fairly solid and something that will hold up, even though the surface is scratched. And I like the idea of trying to make something sort of anti-precious. Well, I think the museum had a little problem with the idea of setting it up in such a way that people could walk through it, and by the time I put this floor under it, unfortunately, it's just little planks of that Pergo stuff you buy at Home Depot, and if people walked on it, it would probably fall apart, because they're just sort of locked in together. Ideally, if I had set this thing up the way I wanted, it would just be on some pretty floor somewhere all by itself without carpet or flooring or anything, and without any markers around it. But that's impractical in a museum context. But I'm hoping that people can imagine themselves in this walking through a room, that it's not that big a section, that they actually need to get the idea, I hope. obviously no one's going to look at these things and think they're looking at real animals. I'm not, expecting that anybody's going to think of them as real in any way, except for having maybe the imagination and the potential of living or having once lived.
You define it. We connect on such a beautiful level. We love life. We love doing things together. We love laughing. He kind of turns me on to his music. I turn him on mine. He does all the cooking in the house, so it's pretty good on my part. If you ask me, he's a little cleaning. I cleaned a little bit the other day.
You did clean a little bit.
He asked me to wash the floor, so I filled the bucket up with some water, put a little towel in there, put my bikini on, got on the floor in my Daisy Dukes. Woo! Turn the water off. It was fun. But I did some house cleaning, so I did my part for the year. The married life's good.
It is good. It's a beautiful blessing. And we have a lot of fun. There's a lot of frivolity in our household. A lot of light. Courtney brought a radiance to the house. It's just,
a little too much.
never too much.
No,
never. And we find, regardless of the age discrepancy, we find a lot that we have in common. We love I Love Lucy episodes. The Honeymooners. We watch The Honeymooners together, and we're going to see.
He turned me on to that, by the way.
I turned you on to The Honeymooners, and you turned me on to I Love Lucy.
Mr. Bean's next. My little pig broke.
Yes,
right
so
here.
she is indeed 16.
Yeah.
We'll be 17. How did you know?
Well, I was needing a manager for my career. My mother was handling my whole career with acting, singing, and all that. But I was really looking forward to being an actress, an aspiring actress. And so my mother had this friend that was also friends with Doug. So it was kind of a mutual friend. And he told my mother that Doug was holding some workshops in LA for acting. And so I thought, what better way than to connect that way and, just take some acting from him. And then he sent you an email.
Yeah, this mutual friend sent me an email, and Courtney and her family, they were living up in Washington State at the time, and I was down here in London. And he said, look, I never do this, so don't feel obligated, but would you be willing to get in touch with his family, because they have a daughter who's interested in acting and interested in taking a workshop. And I said, sure. So I got online and I got in touch with Courtney, and we started to communicate. This was in January of 2011 over the internet. So that's basically how we became connected.
Completely productive and innocent. We're just totally innocent, just about, acting, the business. He was sharing with me some, details about that. And obviously it took a turn, it shifted, and we really can't point our fingers on when we started falling for each other. But it was somewhere in that course of time. Well, she was monitoring the whole entire relationship as it unfolded.
I wasn't aware.
He didn't know. He was a good boy the whole time, but I was handing her off these emails from day one. Because her and I are so close, we're like sisters, and but she knew the whole time. When he first sent me an email, I knew he was 50 years old, but I am a mature soul, and I've always kind of based myself around older men. Because boys my age, I feel like I could be babysitting them, but without the income coming in, so it's kind of a rip-off, so I was never deterred in any way by his age. He's more than just his opportunity.
I wasn't aware of Courtney's age when we first started to communicate. I went to her website, I saw some of her music videos, and as you can see,
Some of the photos.
she doesn't appear to be a 16-year-old. physically. And I just assumed she was a woman maybe in her mid to late 20s. And so it never crossed my mind that I was communicating with a 16-year-old.
I tricked him.
You did.
Used it to my advantage. I did.
And so the way I found out was Krista, Courtney's mother, my mother-in-law now, called me at one point to try to figure out the logistics about having Courtney come down to attend one of the workshops. And in that conversation over the phone, Krista said, well, you know, she's only 16 and ... Yeah, and my brakes went. And I said, wait a minute.
What?
She's only how old? And she said she's 16. And it just blew my mind. It just turned my world upside down. And it was shortly thereafter that we started falling for each other. So you can only imagine
how tentative
I was, I pulled back, I was tentative, and I was like, my world flipped upside down because we were falling for each other. And we knew that our vast age discrepancy was going to be, you know, a challenge.
So most people must think.
This was something I should do. Well, again, our communication was very innocent, open, and there was nothing inappropriate about it whatsoever. There were no sexual innuendos. There was nothing until we began to fall for each other. We started using the L word and confessing to one another that we were having feelings for each other. So really, there was nothing illegal or immoral about it. Just that we found ourselves falling for each other and we happened.
皆さんもおはがき送ってください。
Far away, a little boy and a girl. MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take really cool pictures of your brain. An MRI is a large camera that is able to take fallacies, 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 fallacies,
for a few hours I'm on my knees and I'm performing oral sex. Or what would this be? Manual sex? I don't know. Manual simulation?
Yeah.
There we go. So I do that for a few hours and then I collect. It doesn't feel like it. Like I don't mean to seem like, oh, I have to do it for a few hours.
Are there any like well-known Jack drawings?
No, well, there wasn't really. No, there were average.
Right.
You know what I would say was average.
But it's not about the size.
But it wasn't. No, these guys you didn't do anything. They just were in a line and they stepped up and they came on your face like they were robots. You pressed a button, they came. That was that was their only function. And so it was a completely. But I was swimming in cum. It was amazing how much cum there was.
So the bukkake is a what again?
Okay,
a massive unloading of
it's
cum.
Just a bunch of guys coming on your face.
Okay.
And then you usually will catch it in a bowl.
Nice.
Like as it drips off your chin, essentially.
Right.
You try not to lick it, and then you catch it, and then if you want to, you can drink that afterwards. That's Gokun.
Nice.
But I do the World Bukkake tours.
I've seen them do it with straws. And
yeah, there's
cherries
different
in
ways.
it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a
It was
taste.
a way for me to get to know my fans and do something sexual with them without having to do gangbangs.
It's like a starter.
Yeah, all the time. So it wasn't even necessarily filmed or anything. It was really something that I did for my own pleasure. And going back to the original question, which was why Howard picked me up, he heard that I was doing this World Bukkake tour and sort of brought me in to find out what the hell is this all about, and is this real, and who can sign up for it, and is it really free, because it's free. And
Free?
Yes.
Wow.
Nobody's charged any money.
Okay. Yes.
I have done bukkake.